So just as many of you know, Vermont Clean Cities is sponsored by the Department of Energy. This is our second webinar in a series. As I mentioned, I'm working with Sarah and Jessica on medium and heavy duty vehicles and vehicle technology. This webinar is what's here and what's coming. So our presenters today will talk a little bit more about wheels on the ground and what we can expect, particularly in the medium duty sector. Next slide. Did you advance? Okay, just one more. And sorry, I'm having a slow computer day, so I can't see any of the slides forwarding on my screen. So I'm just going to speak from my deep memory with Clean Cities. So we are three of the almost 100 Clean Cities coalitions across the United States. We work with many of you on this call as municipalities, as utilities, as well as vendors, trying to, help make the connection between those who are looking for alternative fuel technologies and those who have some of those technologies. In this particular instance, we're really looking at to create opportunities for some demonstrations, on the road, how these technologies will work in cold, hilly climates like Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. Next slide. And in the portfolio that we have, it's not just electric. We work with biofuels, we work with idle reduction technologies, and everything from light, medium, heavy duty, as well as some of the new mobility choices that are coming, that are online, everything from micromobility, electric bicycles, shared use mobility, etc. So we really do have a menu of offerings for our stakeholders. Next.
So I'll jump in here. Thank you,
Thanks.
Peggy, for that great introduction. So a little bit about what we do, as Peggy mentioned, we are coalitions that are supported by the Department of Energy, but we are boots on the ground working in our states of Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine with stakeholders of all types. We work with fleets, all shapes and sizes. This includes government organizations, government agencies, school districts, universities, airports and transit agencies, taxi companies, and rideshare services. So the whole gamut when it comes to fleets. We also work with product and service providers. This includes vehicle automakers, the manufacturers, engine manufacturers, conversion companies, vehicle dealerships, fueling equipment suppliers, installers, and providers. And then there's other organizations that we work with, many of them on the call here, including energy and environmental agencies, advocacy organizations, and the general public. These stakeholders educate the public, collaborate on transportation projects, and we help identify research needs that we can pass along to the Department of Energy. There's a lot of information sharing that goes along, and as you can see, just a sampling of our diverse stakeholder groups here, all kind of working together in support of our goals and our missions. Next slide, please. So we'd like to engage you all in a quick poll. We're wondering about the makeup of your existing fleet. We'd love to know which of these medium-duty vehicles that are on this list currently exist in your fleet as gas or diesel or however. So the options are cargo vans, half-ton pickup trucks, 3/4-ton pickup trucks, pickups with a plow, transit vans, and other. We'd love to hear if you've got some other vehicles that we haven't included in this list. So go ahead and put any other options in the chat. Give everybody a few seconds here. Looks like things are winding down a little bit here. We've got the half-ton pickup trucks in the lead. We'll go ahead and close that poll. And go ahead to the next slide and next poll, please. So which of these utility trucks currently exist in your fleet? Once again, anything that's not in this list, we'd love to know in the chat, but the options are bucket trucks, street sweepers, dump trucks, plow trucks, refuse trucks, and yard trucks. Go ahead and complete that poll. And I can't see those results for some reason. I don't know, Peggy, if you can.
Yeah, I can. It looks like plow trucks taking the lead. Bucket trucks, a big one also. Lots of plows.
Not so surprising, right? All right, thanks everybody. We'll go ahead and close that poll and move on to the next slide. So we have some wonderful presenters with us today. We've got a full slate of presenters. We're going to move things along pretty quick here. We've got Ford Motor Company with us. Dan Mazurek's going to be talking. XL Fleet is here with Ben Hartford. Lightning Motors, we have Marcie Willard. And Motiv Power Systems, we've got Jeremy Heiler. Next slide, please. And we're going to start with Ford Motor Company. Dan's going to be jumping on the line to talk about how Ford's been expanding their all-electric lineup to the F-Series as well as transit van models. Next slide, please. Dan, over to you.
Thank you, Jess. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me here. I'm Dan Mazurek. I'm the Ford Motor Company Government Sales Manager of the Northeast. I call in the largest government agencies between Maryland or Maine, 11 states within that area frame, as well as the dealers who bid on those contracts. I live in Philadelphia, and I've been with the company about just over 24 years. So can I do the next slides myself, or there we go. So you said a quick shot of me. Well, there we go. That's just me and my best friend, you know, so. That was at a concert one time. We just had a little fun with it, so wanted to have a little fun. Toby Keith, right? So everybody knows Toby. Next slide, please. So what I want to hit on real quick is the lineup. We've spent, or are spending, we doubled it actually from 11 billion to 22 billion in the last 6 months. And there's also, you might see in the news, 30 billion. There's additional 8 billion that's going to be used for autonomous vehicles. But in this, we are, as you can see on the very right, Mach-E that is out today and currently available for purchase, full electric, 4-door SUV. Right next to it is the next one that will launch, and I'll talk about that, is the E-Transit. And I'll hit on some slides there with the all electric. And just so you know, as I'm jumping in here, we also have things that are moving towards the EV line hybrids, right? Plug-in hybrid escape is available and on the ground. We have, of course, the hybrid police interceptor utility and the hybrid F-150, as well as the hybrid Maverick, which is a small little pickup truck that just hit the market as well. So as you can see, our whole investment is moving towards giving this option to those who are moving in and trying to reduce and eliminate emissions, and as well as so our first vehicle that you can see in front of us is the 22 E-Transit, so all electric. And of course, what we did was we looked at what's the best case scenario. So we did 30 million miles worth of telematics, and we found that in this scenario, the average use was about 75 miles. So what we did was we built a vehicle that fits 106 is miles to the vehicle, is the high roof, 126 miles is the low roof. And what that does is it gives opportunity for, and I know this is one of the key things that you guys are looking at in the cold weather, it gives us an opportunity to look at what is the degradation when I put the heat on, or in the summer, what's the air conditioning. So in the heat side, which you'll probably look at the most, there's probably about a 25 to 30% degradation in that. Now, we notice it more in the EV vehicles because it's new, it's electric, and everybody's looking at it, well, how many miles can I get? At the same time, on gas vehicles, it happens as well. So if the vehicle's idling with the heat on or running with the heat on, there's also more fuel being used in those scenarios. We just happen to notice it with the electric because now that's what everybody is looking at. So hopefully that answers a little bit of that degradation. On the air conditioning side, you'll see about a 15% degradation through the summer. It is available in all 3 roof heights, all 3 body lengths, available currently only as a cargo van, cutaway, or cab chassis. So it's 8 body styles. I know one of the questions is going to be, does it come in an all-wheel drive? As well as, does it come in wagon? Not yet. So this is what we were able to launch quickly and get to the marketplace. So we're using all 8 of these body styles to get to the marketplace today. There will be an announcement in the future of other body styles and other all-wheel drives. I just wanted to hit on the third one there, the serviceability. We have over 3,000 dealers that can handle any of these vehicles coming in for service because it has an 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty on that E-Transit. I mentioned the low roof, 126 miles of estimated range, again, depending on how much the air is on, or if you're using that, where I'll show the Power Pro plugged in, you can use it as a power source as well. It has 266 horsepower and again, 317 foot-pound of torque, as well as 3,800 pounds of payload. So it's an animal. Next slide is we're sliding right into which we're very excited about as well, is the F-150 Lightning Pro. And this bad boy, we'll show the features of it first, which is this. It is a Super Crew, so it's 4 full seats. That's just a shot of it there, as well as the 5.5-foot bed. So this is the package. There's not any longer roofs, or I'm sorry, longer beds or shorter bodies in this. This is the package. For those who need only 230 miles of range, there's your package for 426 horsepower. However, an amazing 775 more power than you'll know what to do with, just on the short range vehicle. 2,000 pounds of payload, 5,000 pounds of towing. Those who need extended range, there's 300 miles in this vehicle here. So you can get one with the 230 or 300 miles of range, whichever you think is necessary for your use. Something that some of you may have already heard of, it's called a frunk, and the frunk actually opens up from the front where the engine compartment would be. So this opens up in the front, and you'll see all this extra space. It holds 400 pounds. There's on the left side, you will see plugins if you need power. So the frunk is washable. Just hose it right out. It's a whole different set of use for that area of the vehicle. As you can see, another little Power Pro on board. We have this on both the F-150 Lightning as well as the E-Transit. The option for getting this where you can plug in tools and equipment and use them. Now, what's interesting about this is that we also have inside the vehicle a place where you can put a reserve. So if you have 8 miles to get back to your base or back to the house or whatever it is, you can leave that reserve in there. Once you use all the power, it will stop at 8 miles and you'll be able to go back and make it back to your base in time, or back to your home office in time without running out of power. Software things that we're moving forward to very quickly is over-the-air updates. So this is pretty exciting, as well as somebody mentioned they wanted to talk about training. In these vehicles, in that dashboard, that 12.5-inch dashboard, you'll be able to access all the warranty guides. What about this in my vehicle? There will be a warranty guide right in that 12-inch screen that you can go in and look at and pull up all the videos. There's going to be all kinds of things that you can find in there that give you training on your vehicle or your how-tos. So that's a new and exciting thing that we've offered in these new vehicles. Over the air, we're trying to eliminate as much downtime as we can. 10% of all of our recalls are reflashes or updates. Well, 10% of those going into the dealership, waiting to get those reflashes done, can now be eliminated by over-the-air updates. It'll gauge when the vehicle is not being driven. So most of the time that'll be in the evening or at night. So over let's say 3 a.m., over-the-air update will come in. Next morning, the driver jumps in. They'll see that there was an update. As they start, they just start and take off and go. There's no delay in those updates. But again, we're looking at how to eliminate as much downtime as we can for you. Here's a really cool tool that's in here. It actually gives assistance and guidance on how to plan your route. So you can put in the addresses you're going in that truck. Because it's electric, how do I save as much power throughout the day so I have the power I need to get back? And it helps map it out for you, so you can put in several addresses, and it tells you what the shortest distance is to get there, so you use the least amount of power. And we couldn't put in a payload expert. We couldn't let it go by. We had to put it in. So what this does, it optimizes the weight of the vehicle. So if you want to put in the front and put weight in the back, it helps optimize in the back, so it isn't just all loaded on the very end of the vehicle. It'll tell the driver, put that weight further up towards the cab to make sure you're getting the best use of the vehicle, rather than just load it all in the back of the vehicle on the very end, and it drags and it takes more energy to get that vehicle down the road. How do I drive these vehicles? How do I get to jump in the E-Transit or the F-150 Lightning Pro? We have a ride and drive on October 11th that is coming up in Boston. So it's at the stadium. And so there are I can send it to Jess if you don't have it, and she can send it out. But you can sign up, come in, and actually sit in the vehicle, drive the vehicle on both days. There's an afternoon session of the 11th, and if you can't, let me know and I'll get you in the next day, which is all dealers. That's on the 12th, if we need to. A couple more slides here when we hit into charging. So this is the F-150, and what we have is the mobile charger that comes with it. And as you can see, the timing that it takes, the standard battery is 14 hours or 19 hours for a extended range. If you have the same charger with a 220 line or a 240 volt, it'll take 10 hours for the 230 vehicle, or extended range is only 13 hours. If you have, there's an $800 Ford Charge Station Pro, that's an 80 amp. And again, you can see the difference. This is where you start seeing a big difference. Only 8 hours with the 300 mile extended range battery, but 10 hours with the regular standard one. If you go to a DC fast charge, you can see the dramatic difference there, down to 41 minutes or 44 minutes. So as you can see, all this change is happening in the industry. It's really exciting to see how fast you can, with a DC charge, get this thing loaded with full electricity within 40. This is just a station for the E-Transit. Same idea, 8 hours for a full charge, 220. You're looking at sorry, things are in my way there.
Sorry, Dan, I'm just going to jump in real quick and let you know you've got about 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. And we'll just hit 16,000 plus, and it just keeps growing all the time as far as the stations. And just one real quick thing I wanted to hit on was the 40% fuel maintenance savings is what we're looking at on Eevee and hybrid vehicles, and fuel savings we're looking at minimum 50%. And with that, I'll just wrap up and take any questions.
Great, thank you so much, Dan. And I do see that we have a question in the chat from Harry. The question is, where is the battery in the Ford trucks? The concern is that if it's in the back, does that help with traction on the rear wheel drive vehicle?
Traction, is that that's what I understood the question to be?
Yeah, where is the battery in the Ford trucks? Because if it is in
Oh.
the back, that may impact the traction in the rear-wheel
Thank
drive
you.
vehicles.
With all the vehicles that we put the batteries is right in the center, just a smidge back from the center. So underneath the rear seat in this vehicle, in the F-150, for example, it'll be under the passenger seat, the second row. So it'll bolt up from the bottom. So there's no access to it from the top, but that helps with the centering of the weight as you're talking about. And it's held within the frame, so it's actually closer to the center of the vehicle. It is just a little offset to the passenger side, but I hope that answers the question.
Great. I don't see any more questions in the chat. We'll go ahead and move on to the next slide. Thank you so much, Dan.
Just a quick.
Jessica, there are a couple more.
Eevee, yes, 2025. We're working on one.
Jessica, there were a couple more that just popped up in the chat. If you can't see them, would you like me to read them?
Sure, thank you.
Sure. One is, what charger do you need to power your house in the case of an outage?
Any one of them will, that's a great question. And I will have to circle back with you on that one because you see it all over the news, but they've never shared with us how those people do it. So I will have to circle back with that. That's a great question.
And then I'll just jump in, Jessica, unless you're seeing these yet, but does Ford have any plans to build an Eevee police cruiser?
Yes, that is the one that I just mentioned will be 2025. Yes.
Okay. And then maybe this isn't fair because this is my personal question. You mentioned Boston, but how can we get a demo up here in northern New England? Maybe we can talk offline about that, yep. Dan, but we definitely have a lot of interest here, as you can see.
That's a great question. I have one coming for an e-transit that will be available somewhere in the, let's say, March-ish range. It's going to land and be in New York City for the first month or two, and then it'll be free to come up there, which would be great because it's March, you'll still have some weather, so you'll really be able to see how it.
Thanks, Dan. I'm going to jump in here, Peggy, and say, Dan, if you can answer the questions that are in the chat directly, I think we'll move on to the next presenter. Thanks so much.
You got it. Thank you.
And go ahead, Peggy, over to you.
Great. Thank you. Now we have, so thanks, Dan. And now we have Ben Hartford, who is the Northeast Sales Manager for XL Fleet. And we're going to hear about XL Fleet electrification solutions for class 2 through 6. Take it over, Ben. You've got 10 minutes.
All right. Thank you, Peggy. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Good morning, and thanks for Clean Cities from this on. You guys are awesome. I always love coming to your events, so thanks again. I'm Ben Hartford, Northeast Sales Manager for XL Fleet, so I'm just going to take you through our product offering, how the systems work, and what we're doing in the space. So first, a little bit about myself. I've been at XL Fleet for about 2.5 years. Before I was at XL Fleet, I was working at Tesla down in Boston, doing sales advising there, so selling their fast cars and all the electric vehicles. Now I'm on the other side of the coin, making these bigger trucks cleaner and greener for the environment. I do have a background in environmental studies and biology. I went to Colby College, so shout out to all my main participants, unless you went to Bates or Bowdoin, go Mules. And I'm just gonna jump right into it. So XL Fleet, we've been around for about 12 years now. We actually went public at the end of last year, December 22nd. We merged with the company through a SPAC acquisition. And we're now listed on the NYSE. So that gave us a lot of a big influx of cash that we can now use to expand our teams, as well as expand our product offering. When I joined the company 2.5 years ago, I think I was the 43rd employee. We're now at 150 plus, mostly engineers, and our sales team expanding. So really exciting stuff going on. XL Fleet, our core product right now is our hybrid and plug-in hybrid ship-through upfits that we sell to both commercial and municipal fleets. We sell these like any other upfit component, so we work with a national network of upfit partners throughout North America. I think there's about 125 plus locations that you can buy and get this system installed. And we work on primarily Ford, GM, Isuzu, and now Ram vehicles, making them into hybrids and plug-in hybrids. One of the best things about our product is that these manufacturers do approve us to put these systems on their vehicles, so you do not lose the factory warranty. You don't need to change your factory maintenance schedules. There's no special considerations you have to make with having one of these systems put on the truck. And we're also expanding after the acquisition into more electrification as a service and ecosystem offerings. So we have an XL Grid division that's working on charging infrastructure and energy storage and power solutions. We also just acquired a company out in Worcester called World Energy Efficiency Services that do more of the maintenance and building maintenance side. So putting solar on the roof, retrofitting your HVAC systems, making sure all your light bulbs are efficient as they could be. So we're really trying to get a full solution for you, not just on the fleet, but also on the facilities side to reduce emissions. And so far, we have about 150+ million miles driven by our customers with the hybrid systems installed on their vehicles, which has resulted in about 3 million gallons of fuel saved, 20,000 metric tons of CO2, and some increased driver productivity because you're not going to the gas station as much. So getting into our offering here, like I said, we have hybrid and plug-in hybrid shifter upfits. So the XLH is our hybrid system. That will be a 25% increase in your fuel economy with a 20% reduction in carbon emissions as well as fuel consumption. And then the XLP is our plug-in hybrid, which will do a 50% increase in fuel economy with a 33% reduction in carbon emissions and fuel consumption. And I always like to point out from a sustainability standpoint that focusing on these larger class 2 to 6 trucks is going to make a big dent in your emissions compared to swapping out your smaller light duty vehicles. While there are a lot of great options out there that are all EV, hybrid, and PHEV in those consumer markets, and they should definitely replace them if they're in their fleet. Don't forget about these larger trucks as you look at electrification, because as you can see here, over 100,000 miles, you'll cut CO2 by about 37 metric tons on these larger trucks with a hybrid system versus going to a hybrid sedan, which would only cut about 60 metric tons. So now we're looking at which trucks we can actually work on here. So 2 columns, the hybrid column with those orange check marks, that's that 25% boost in fuel economy, and then plug-in hybrid, those green check marks, is a 50% boost in fuel economy. And you can see we really run the gamut here from class 2 to 6. So we offer a 3/4 ton and 1 ton conversion for the Ford Chevys and the Chevy GMCs and the Rams. Then we get into the cargo and passenger vans with the Ford Transit, Chevy Express, GMC Savannah. Take it up a step into the cutaways, so 40, 350, 450, and the 3500, 4500s from General Motors. Those are great for ambulances, box trucks, shuttle buses, you name it. And then we take it another step higher up into the F550, which is our first vehicle from Ford in that class, as well as the Isuzu NPR. Really what XL's kind of roadmap to electrification is now is taking this plug-in column and trying to add more check marks in there for the vehicles that we already have hybrid. But eventually we'll get to a point where there's another column on the screen that says XLE, XL Electric, where we start putting in yellow check marks for full electric conversions. You may have seen on our website and posted in news sources that we did recently announce a partnership with Curb Tender, which is a refuse truck bodybuilder, where we're taking a Ford F600 and we're making it fully electric and then running that refuse body off of that electric system. So very exciting stuff, and more projects certainly in the pipeline for next year and onwards. So when we talk about electrification, I notice a lot of the fleets I work with everyone's excited for going full EV. But once you start to look into it, you do run into some roadblocks or speed bumps to getting there. We did a poll about a year ago in the middle of the pandemic with one of our webinars where we looked at barriers to fleet electrification. We could see here that initial purchase price, access to charging infrastructure at facilities, product availability in the market, as well as access to charging infrastructure in the public are all kind of holdbacks when you look at a full EV solution. And then you can even look at the function of the vehicle. What are you going to do when the weather gets cold? How is it going to be for plowing? What kind of power concerns? How long is it going to take to charge? Range anxiety. So these are all things that you don't really need to worry about when you look at an XL fleet solution. We have a lower cost product, so you can get a return on investment, hopefully, without it getting an incentives or a grant to actually buy the supplemental costs of the hybrid system. We're already working on vehicles that you've been using in your fleet for maybe the past 40, 50 years that you trust and you like. We're just making them cleaner and greener. Like I said earlier, you maintain all your service, delivery, and fleet operations with these systems. They kind of run in the background, so you don't need to worry about them. You still have that factory warranty, and then you can eliminate those barriers to a fleet electrification. Range, infrastructure, drivability concerns. Like I said, these are the same trucks you're used to. We're just saving you fuel while you use them. All right, I got the 2 more minutes from Peggy. So real quickly, I'll just talk about how the system works. We're putting an electric traction motor on a shortened drive shaft. This is all post-transmission, so we're not touching anything in the engine bay. We then wire that up to a battery in the back of the truck to propel it forward. So you can see the fuel savings actually come from us providing about 80% more low-end torque. This traction motor is going to give you 220 pound-feet of torque in addition to what your engine's already given you. So we can maybe touch what the all-electric Fords are doing, around 700 pound-feet of torque, hopefully. And essentially, when you can see this graph here is what we're showing. A gray line is your fuel rate. In a regular truck, as you're accelerating, every time you shift a gear, you're using more fuel. We're getting rid of those peaks in this graph by making the hybrid system take care of acceleration, so your vehicle doesn't need to use as much fuel to get to your destination as it usually would. So just to sum it up before we go into Q&A, the XL Fleet solution, it's sustainability value without the limitations that come with a full electric solution. It's available today. You can get immediate results that will drive a long-term demand and will also help you hit your sustainability goals quicker. We have the installation and the service capacity to keep these vehicles on the road, even with the systems. And we have better charging efficiencies with smaller batteries, and we can avoid those costly upgrades when you look at a full electric system, especially on these bigger trucks. So we'll go to Q&A.
Thanks, Ben. I'm actually going to go back to one of the questions that was asked of Ford about a plow package. What can an XL Fleet, either Chevy or Ford, looking probably at the F-250 or that style, how can that handle a plow?
Yeah, so we specifically design our systems to make sure that we're not putting anything in the way of a plow up front. Some of the vehicles do have like a radiator fan that will for the coolant system to cool the motor and the battery in the front of the vehicle. So if you're ordering a plow and you're interested in one of our systems, we would just ask you send me the make and model of that plow, and I can confirm whether or not it will be compatible with our trucks.
Okay, great. And then just one other question, just for clarification, for those who have seen the XL from a couple years ago, what's the difference in the battery location? Can you just reiterate where the battery is in relation to the bed?
Yeah, sure. So great question. So on our Ford models, the plug-in hybrid kit does have a large 18 kilowatt-hour battery in the bed of the truck, so you will lose some bed space there. What we're really excited about on the GM vehicles and the Ram vehicles is that we can put the battery underneath the chassis in the spare tire compartment, just like we do for all of our hybrid solutions. So you're not going to lose any bed space, but you still get the efficiencies that you look for that we offer on the Ford. And that's the same thing on our GM Cutaway 35-4500. The battery is underneath the bed.
Great. Thanks for that clarification. Ben, I'm gonna move on to the poll questions, but if you look in the chat, there is a question from Ben Cargill. If you can answer that in the chat, then we'll keep track of those, and that will be shared with everybody else.
All right.
Thank you so much, Ben, for your time. We look forward to seeing you later this year in person.
Absolutely.
Okay, poll question number 3. Let us know, please, if you would be interested in a complimentary route or data analysis. So something that XL Fleet has is a cloud-based data analysis for pickup trucks and delivery trucks. So just a yes or no, and we're also working with another fleet to complimentary GPS.
And so then I'll tell you when I'm done. So
Can you just mute for a second, whoever's speaking? A route analysis from Endera on cargo trucks. Can you see responses?
Great. Looks like those answers are coming in. And I think I'll take over and introduce Marcie. Okay, great. So from Lightning Motors, we have Marcie Willard here to talk to us about their electric powertrains. Hi, Marcie. How are you?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, you sound great. Take it away.
Great. Okay. Again, I'm Marcie Willard. I appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning on behalf of Lightning eMotors. We are a commercial battery electric vehicle OEM based in Colorado. I have been with the company since November. I was employee number 72, and now we have upwards of 200. We also went public in May, so it's a very exciting time for all of us in this electric vehicle industry. So here is a picture of our manufacturing facility in Loveland. It was a former Hewlett-Packard space. When we started and moved into the building, we had 40,000 square feet. We're now at 230,000 square feet with a first right of refusal on additional space. So again, it's a perfect location for us. We're thrilled to be continuing the legacy of manufacturing and again, to have the opportunity to scale as the industry scales. This is a picture of our assembly floor for our vehicles, and Lightning offers 3 different products. Firstly, we offer what we consider a new vehicle. We bring in an existing chassis, legacy chassis like a Ford or a Chevy, and we decontent the gas or diesel engine, and in its place, we install our electric powertrain and battery configuration. And of course, the more batteries means an increased range, and we sell those as our new vehicle. Our second product is what we call a repower, where we take vehicles in someone's existing fleet, and as long as they meet certain specs and requirements, then we can do the same process. We can take these existing fleet vehicles, decontent them, and install our powertrain. And then lastly, we have just started Lightning Energy. It's a division of Lightning eMotors for charging and infrastructure. We do everything from design to install, software, hardware, and charging as a service. So here is our lineup of vehicles in our truck space. We offer everything from a Lightning Transit 350 HD cargo van to a Ford E450 Lightning vehicle. It's a cutaway chassis where we can put a box, usually 14 to 16 feet, or we also carry a Class 6 box truck that's based on more of a GM or Hino platform. And then you can see we also do buses. Transit passenger holds 14 plus a driver. Then our E450 platform is 16 to 20. And finally, our F550s, those run in airports, and then we're running the other vehicles in community transit, airports, last mile delivery, urban delivery, and so forth. And then we do repowers of coaches and buses as well. In addition, all of our vehicles come with Lightning Analytics. So if you can imagine a SIM card in a phone, each of our vehicles has a SIM card, which helps us monitor about 70 different data points in real time. It's sent back to our service department, and we can tell a variety of things and provide reports on a monthly basis to our fleets, everything from state of charge, routes, driver behavior, range, how to optimize your batteries, how to optimize your duty cycle, and so forth. And so it's a wonderful extra for our fleets to get these reports on a monthly basis. And then, like I said, Lightning Energy has just been, not seeing. Do I need to go back on the slides real quick? I took control.
I think you're okay.
I'm getting a chat saying people can't see them.
I think it may just be the way the view is set up, because I can see you and the slides and they're moving along.
Okay.
Well. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, and again, we do comprehensive charging solutions as well. We do qualify and meet the standards for Buy America, and we're also Buy American compliant. And then I was asked to talk, let's see. I don't know if that helps. I'm getting. I guess I'll just continue. I'm not really sure what's happening with the slides.
Just keep on going. I think it's
Keep
just
going. Okay.
individual.
Okay, so some of what we're seeing moving forward, I was asked to talk quickly about that, then I'll move into my cold weather case study. We're seeing mobile vehicle charging becoming a big concern. What happens if I get stuck on the side of the road? And we have lots of entrepreneurs considering how they're going to get out and save not only passenger vehicles, but commercial vehicles. This is a great opportunity for a second life of batteries. Of course, that's a big concern for those of us in the industry, is once they cannot charge the vehicles anymore, what can we do to reduce our footprint? And so this mobile system seems to be a great application for that second life. It can also serve as temporary charging. So let's say a fleet has vehicles and their charging infrastructure isn't ready yet, then they could also use this temporary system. We're also getting a lot of interest in the V2G or V2B. The best case study for that right now is with school buses, where they're parked during the summer and those batteries can charge in full, and then when there's demand from the grid and peak power needs, then they can put that energy back into the grid or into the building. Battery capacity, we're seeing the batteries become lighter weight and more efficient, and the price coming down. We hope that trend continues to happen. Autonomous EVs is something where we're getting calls from commercial vendors who want to add a EV component. And then lastly, mobility on demand. Communities are saying, we don't need these huge buses necessarily anymore with these set routes. We need to be more nimble. And so we're seeing community-based lift type services with, for instance, our E450 shuttle. So our cold weather case study, we worked with a Colorado ski area last, what we call mud season, but when there's still snow on the road. And they used one of our E450 passenger shuttles. They had the vehicle for 2 weeks, and a total of 740 miles were driven with a total elevation gain of a little over 30,000 feet. What we heard back from the drivers is they really enjoyed the shuttle. They loved that it was smooth and quiet, that it had good acceleration. As the other presenters have mentioned, there is degradation to the batteries when you use your auxiliary systems like your heating or your air. And so you can see those in general from anywhere from 10 to 30% off that range. And so what happened for this group is they only had an AC charger available. And so the range was a bit of a concern. They're getting ready to add DC fast charging options, and they felt that that would help them navigate the range a little bit more effectively. So our vehicles, like the others, are rear wheel drive, but they felt that the weight of the batteries helped with the vehicle stability, that they felt like it held to the road. In deep snow, they were able to add some chains, which is pretty typical for trucks in general in Colorado during the winter. One of the things that electric vehicles has is regenerative braking, and when you take your foot off the accelerator, it automatically starts to slow the vehicle. It's wonderful, and it has regenerative power back into the batteries through negative torque, but the drivers felt like they needed to be trained a little bit better on easing into it because they felt like it affected the traction a bit. And so we worked with the drivers to handle that more effectively. The
Marcie,
passengers that rode
in just 1 minute, that would be great. Thank you. Just 1 minute.
Passengers love the zero emission. Our thermally managed batteries allow for operation in extreme temperatures, so we had no issues with the batteries. And wheelbase may be a bit of an issue because this is a very curvy route. And then I think it was a $0 lease. Again, gas and diesel has all wheel and four wheel. The quality, you see an 80% cost reduction in fuel and 60% in maintenance with this, which helps with total cost of ownership. And about year 7, you see cost parity. So I'll end there. I guess my time's out, and take any questions.
Thank you, Marcie. It doesn't look like we have anything right now. If anything pops up, maybe you can just answer it in the chat. Okay. That would be great. And then we can just move ahead because we've got one more presenter and then a few polls at the end.
Great. So I'd like to introduce Jeremy Heiler from Motiv Power Systems. They are manufacturing all electric chassis for medium duty commercial vehicles. Jeremy, over to you.
Thank you for that introduction. I'm Jeremy Heiler with Motiv. You can go to the next slide. My background is a steel processing background, actually. I sold to a bunch of tier 1 to tier 3 OEMs, hardware, and the service center industry. I've been with Motiv for about 2.5 years, where I've served as our partner relationship manager, Eastern regional manager, and most currently as the senior manager of national accounts. You can see a few of our different vehicles right there, but we'll get into a little bit more of a little more in depth. Can you go to the next slide? So Motiv Power Systems, we want to be your complete energy solution, helping you with your infrastructure needs and with your vehicle needs. We're currently, we have US operations that are happening in California, with our chassis electrification happening in Michigan. We also have an engineering center in Michigan as well. We are on our 5th generation of technology. We have well over 120 vehicles and over 1.3 million miles, zero emission miles in the USA. We've got shuttle buses, walk-in vans, box trucks, specialty vehicles, trolleys, school buses, shuttle buses, and then your work trucks that you see there. Can go to the next slide. We're currently electrifying 3 different chassis, the E450 chassis, which you see at the top, and we could do that as a step van, box truck, shuttle bus. As you've seen, our focus is right here in the medium duty because it's lower volume but high configurability. So we realize that everyone on this call may have one of these vehicles in their fleet, but they're probably all going to be just a little bit different. And we recognize that there's still the need to electrify those vehicles. So we want to help you in that class 4 to class 6 range, where you've got and give you the flexibility for a high configurability on those vehicles. Can you go to the next slide? Obviously, when you switch to all electric, you're saving the environment, which is obviously the goal, but you're also saving a bunch of recurring fuel maintenance and operation costs. We just have shown a visual here. You're eliminating gasoline, eliminating your transmission servicing, eliminating oil changes, reducing your brake wear, as Marcie stated. We also have regenerative braking on our systems as well, and that reduces your brake wear greatly. You're eliminating emissions testing, air filters, belts, all kinds of things. Can you go to the next slide? And I think if you advance it one more, everything should populate. Ooh. It did not. Sorry. Can you go back? There we go. Perfect. Nope. Go forward one more. I am so sorry. So this slide, we're committed to your success, and I'm going to take control for a second, because I think, there we go. We're committed to your success. We want to come alongside you, help with the project plan, because going all electric is a very difficult thing to do, especially if it's your first time. So we want to help you with that project planning. There's a lot of incentives available, and you may not know all of them, or you may not have the capacity to fill out a bunch of paperwork, and we're willing to come alongside and help you with that. Probably the most important thing is securing your infrastructure needs, working with the local energy companies, and making sure that you have the right power, and we can help right size the power for your vehicles, so that you, when those vehicles arrive, you're able to use them. We'll help you with your project execution, driver training. That's probably the most important thing. These vehicles are a little bit different. So we want to make sure that your drivers have complete and total confidence in them so that there isn't range anxiety. And secondly, that you're able to get the full experience of driving a full electric vehicle. And then we also have a great network of customer support after the sale. We're very hands-on after the sale and committed to your success. We don't just deliver a vehicle and say, good luck, have fun. We're with you every step of the way. All of our vehicles come right now with 127 kilowatts of power, which will give you about 80 to 120 real world miles. And again, just some examples of the vehicles: a trolley, walk-in van, school bus, or shuttle bus. A few different case studies that we're very proud of, and almost every one of these organizations here is given us reorders because they've been so pleased with how the first deployments have gone. But two case studies that I want to focus on. One is with Purolator. Purolator is the largest parcel delivery company in Canada. We've deployed 5 all-electric step vans in British Columbia, and those vehicles have ran at well over 11,000 miles in about 4 months, and they've seen over 98% uptime with greater than 10 metric tons of tailpipe emissions already reduced. Purolator was recently the recipient of the Advanced Clean Transportation Fleet Award, and they're also featured in the RMI's Run on Less Electric campaign that's going on. So these 5 step vans have been deployed in cold weather. Be happy to talk with you a little bit in greater depth of what we've seen these vehicles. We also have a very large parcel delivery company that we've been working with. Their vans have been deployed for almost a full calendar year, and so we've got a bunch of cold weather. Those vehicles are in northern Michigan, so we have again a bunch more cold weather data that I'd be happy to talk with you a little more in depth so that you can understand what impact there is on the cold weather. Bimbo Bakeries, they're the largest bakery in the world. We've built 5 step vans. Were deployed. We have deployed another 8 of these 23 trucks have been deployed. So they have 13 step vans that have been deployed, and they've given an order for more than 100 more additional trucks as they've made a very large commitment to go all electric. A couple of things that we are very proud of with this deployment is we were able to avoid infrastructure upgrades because we were able to come in and right size their charging infrastructure. It's one of the things that going back to those project planning slides that I talked about at the very beginning, we came in, we normally offer a 19 kilowatts, but that would have required a huge infrastructure upgrade for Bimbo. And so we right sized it. They were able to get full charge every night, and with no infrastructure upgrade costs with these 12 kilowatt chargers. Feedback from the drivers, they love the single pedal driving where they're able to brake with the regenerative braking. Greater than 27,000 miles, 100% uptime. Bimbo took delivery of these right before the pandemic, and they never shut down, delivering bread and goods and services to the local supermarkets all over Northern California, and never once had an all-electric vehicle go down. And we've been able to save 24 metric tons of tailpipe emissions with Bimbo Bakeries. 8 key considerations for going electric that we would like you to consider and help come alongside to provide this information. But you need to evaluate your routes and usage patterns. Obviously, we want to make sure that you're going to get the return on investment for your specific case. Incentives are huge in the electric space, so we'll come alongside you to help with that, making sure you're compliant with everything in regards to the incentives, sustainability goals. Obviously, if you're on this call, you probably have sustainability concerns, making sure that that charging infrastructure is going to be in place and right and ready to go, and driver vehicle training and support. And then finally, to make sure that the vehicles that you're buying have great performance. Make sure that you plan for your infrastructure in tandem with your vehicle purchase. Don't wait until there's only a couple weeks before deployment. We want to help you. Talk to us, the vehicle OEM. Let's make sure we're engaging with the power utility companies and the local Clean City Coalition, because there may be infrastructure funding available. And then we want to make sure that you get the right charging infrastructure the first time, so we're not redoing things, and we're getting the charge that we need for you the first time. So just to talk, just a quick brief moment on the real world range. You'll see 75 to 100%, 125% of our published range guidelines. And like we know, HVAC usage certainly impacts that. Both Lightning and Ford mentioned that. Route profile, stop and go versus highway, and then your driver behavior. That we have found that is maybe the #1 cause for either great range or bad range, is how the drivers drive these vehicles. And that's why we provide the free driver training upon deployment, so that we're making sure that this fleet is efficient and that your drivers, who are probably the most important stakeholder, are happy. And then we also level 2 charging connectors, onboard charger, distributes up to 15 kilowatts of power. We also have level 3 DC fast charge as an option as well, because DC fast chargers are very, very expensive. And so you may not want to, we've offered this as optional, because you may not have the charging infrastructure money or the reason to go to DC fast charge. And so you can just get by with a high power level 2 charger. But again, that's part of our project planning, to make sure that we right size the charge, both on board and off board. Thank you very much for your day. I think that I came in just under the wire. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jeremy. So I think we're right at time. So we just wanted to quickly go through a few more polls that we have here. Let's see. So we've got, which of these medium duty electric vehicles would you be interested in? If you can just quickly vote there, and we'll go on to the next poll. We can get some feedback for you. Like we said, we will be doing some demo vehicles. There we go, great. And which of these plug-in hybrid electric vehicles would you be interested in for your fleet? Good, please vote there. And while everybody's voting, I just want to plug a few of the upcoming webinars and demonstrations. Next week, we have 2 demonstrations of an electric street sweeper, global electric street sweepers, and one in Kittery in southern Maine, and then one in South Burlington, and one in Lebanon, New Hampshire. So we're excited to bring that to you all. That will be the first of our demonstrations. We'll have more coming later this year and into next year. We also have our upcoming webinar on the 30th, which will be the same format, just featuring different technologies at different vendors, so we can bring more information to you all. And then we're planning for an electric transit and school bus webinar in October on the 21st. We're still lining up vendors and more information there, so stay tuned. And we're excited to really dive into the bus discussion, because I think I know that there's a lot of interest from Maine stakeholders there. So just wrapping up then, oh, we got one more poll, I forgot. So this is to take your temperature on the multi-day demonstration opportunities. We're hoping that we can really bring them to as many people as want them, so you can actually use them in your town and put them through the paces. So please vote here on what potential demo opportunities you might be interested in. And just a reminder, again, we talked about this in our first few webinars, but there is DERA state grant programs and VW funding that can really help with bringing down the cost of these vehicles, which we know is very high right now as the technology is being developed. So up to 45% funding for eligible diesel vehicles, and there's no engine model year restriction. So even if you have a newer diesel vehicle, it can support replacement of that. And just reach out to your particular state Clean Cities coordinator, and we can help you apply for that funding. So there we go. And just to plug once more for references and resources for the Clean Cities coalitions, there's a fleet, which is helps calculate cost of ownership for some of these vehicles. So we can help work with you to work through that tool to understand what the cost of ownership might be. There is all sorts of information about every alternative fuel you can think of, not just electric at the AFDC. There's case studies, there's information about various laws and incentives in your particular state, and there's a vehicle search tool so you can see what's out there, what's available, and what technology is coming. And again, there's kind of two levels of technical response and more technical problem solving that we have here at Clean Cities. The first level is you just email us and we can answer from our vast knowledge and experiences, but we also have, when we reach the end of those, we will reach out to our technical response service, which is basically like having an on-call research consultant, and they provide an excellent amount of information for any particular question. So we're happy to reach out to them for you. And then even more involved, we have our Tiger teams, which is a sort of second level of resources where we can bring in really expert technical problem solving to overcome particular technical challenges that fleets are having. So that's kind of the big guns when we run into problems that we can't solve. So please reach out to us with any questions. We're here to be a resource and hoping to bring more information and more vehicles to you as the program goes on. So thank you all for being here today, and we are looking forward to seeing you next time and hopefully seeing you in person at the street sweeper vehicle demos. My understanding is that you are allowed to drive it if you know how. So looking forward to it, and thank you all. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks.